Welcome to Entrepreneur S.O.S. with your hosts Monique Mull and Sandy Collin. We help business owners navigate the often complex world of entrepreneurship. Each week, we share expert advice or real-life experiences from successful entrepreneurs who have faced and overcome the challenges of building a business. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, this podcast is designed to help you. So join us each week and let's grow your business together. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, as it helps us reach more entrepreneurs just like you. Today, we are talking all about confidence. We're going to give you 6 simple hacks to boost your confidence.
Tried and true.
I feel like this is a big one for a lot of people. Confidence is big.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is for me, for sure. Or overcoming those challenges and becoming more confident, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's always another layer. That's the thing with confidence, is just when you get to a point where you feel confident with something else, there's always going to be something else in your life that you're like, I can't do this. I feel good. So it's these little hacks we're going to give you are what Sandy and I have used to help us move up that rung of the ladder every time there's something that we're a little bit scared. One of my favorite things that I've done over the years as I've built myself up is I use affirmations, but I'm going to premise this because I really believe that affirmations don't work for everyone. For a long time, they didn't work for me. And I'll tell you why, because I couldn't believe my own bullshit, right? I can't say I'm a millionaire when I know I'm not a millionaire. I can't say I'm successful when I knew I had 2 pennies to rub together. My brain just didn't allow for that. I couldn't believe something that I didn't have the faith it forward yet. I didn't have that. So I use affirmations when they apply and I know that I can embrace them. So I am amazing. I am self-worthy. I am beautiful. I can do all of those things. But if there's something that I don't believe, I learned a trick that was a game changer for me, Sandy. Absolute game changer. So I read a book by a man named Noah St. John. We will link it in the show notes because if you struggle with never believing your own BS and you've tried to really embrace that, this trick will help you. And it's a short but very powerful book. He does something called affirmations, which is different. So the way our brains work, if you have a specific kind of brain, maybe is you don't always believe what you're saying, is you can ask yourself a question and your brain will automatically go into searching for the solution. So when I had 2 pennies to rub in together and I was in debt for $40,000 living in a room in someone's house, I couldn't just look in the mirror and say, I am successful. The surroundings did not match up. So I asked myself, why am I so successful? And then my brain would start giving me the answers. Why are people attracted to my business? Why are clients coming to me on a daily basis? Why am I so magnetic? Any of those kinds of questions that a lot of entrepreneurs ask themselves or say to themselves, I am amazing, I am magnetic, I am successful, I am worthy. All of those things can be turned into a question, which will then put your brain into seek mode and you will find the answer. Your brain will automatically start to find the answer. Like, you're magnetic because of this. You're beautiful because of this. You're successful because you've done this. And then it starts to build that confidence and inner belief that you are successful. Whether it was just you won a trophy when you were in 6th grade that pops up, guess what? You won a trophy when you were in 6th grade and you were successful.
Don't knock it.
Exactly. Your brain does that. It helps you reinforce what you're looking for, but it's understanding that not everybody is in a place where they can believe it because our surroundings don't always allow for that. And that was a game changer for me and made a lot of differences in how I move forward in my business. And what helped me go from struggling, living in one room in someone's house to almost 6 figures in a very short amount of time because I changed my mindset using that, changed my confidence. So how about you? What's a technique you've used?
Into that, affirmations, and I agree with you. I think they're very powerful for certain people, but like everything, not everything is for everybody. So for me, a big one is visualization. I visualize a lot. So if there's a situation or a thing or something that throws me off, I just visualize being successful, being confident, being calm, being whatever. And I literally see myself there, which kind of ties a little bit for me into meditation because I'm a big meditator. And a lot of times I'll do that walking too. Like I also visualize things that are kind of not on the horizon yet, but I see myself in those situations. I have trained my brain to close my eyes and to beam me up, Scotty. And I'm in that situation and I'm confident. And I don't say that, but that's
well, you should now because it's beam me up, Scotty.
So I had to do a task that I was a little nervous about or whatever. And I did. I sat down for a couple minutes before and I just took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and I saw myself and I saw visualized a super positive outcome. And it gave me the confidence, boom, to go do it. And so that's one of my favorite go-tos for building confidence over the years. And like you said, there's always that next layer, right?
Always, always. And I also do a lot of visualization in the morning. I think it's powerful. I think if you're not visualizing where you want to be, then you're probably not going to get anywhere. And I can attest to that because I stopped for a while and I realized I got stagnant because I wasn't pushing my brain to the next thing. And I think it is a powerful tool. Have you ever heard of the stories of the soldiers in POW camp where they visualized like a round of 16 golf or whatever it is, and they played it over and over, back and forth. They talked about it and playing that perfect round of golf. And they were in this camp for like 15 years or something. I don't remember the actual number, but they came out and they played like amazing games of golf because they put themselves in that situation. So it's so powerful to build that confidence around being that person that you want to be.
Who's that famous, and pardon me, I'm like not into American sports. There's a basketball player really famous. Anyway,
there's Michael Jordan.
That's him.
Okay.
He visualized before he'd go into a play, he'd literally visualize shooting the ball in the basket like 100 times, like just visualizing it. They've done brain scans or they've done tests where people would actually work out and people who would visualize working out and they build muscle. Visualization.
Okay, I'm getting on that. I'm going to be visualizing my hot little body at 50. Yeah. That's what's happening there.
There's a lot of like science behind it. So for me, visualization is incredibly powerful.
That's awesome. So one of the other things on the same note, but in a different way, when you're thinking about wanting something, I saw a video, gosh, I think it was maybe 4 years ago, maybe even longer. I don't know. Simon Sinek. I love him. He's one of my favorites. I really, someday I'd love him to have him on this podcast because I think
oh my gosh, goals.
That we're putting that out there into the universe.
Simon, if you're listening in, we would love to have you.
Anybody knows him, we'd love to have him. I really, really love what that man has to say about leadership and just organization and just mindset. And I watched a really powerful video where he was talking about how he didn't like to fly and he would get really nervous. And he would say, oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And then one day he just said, wait a minute. What if I changed the narrative? What if I just said, this is exciting? I'm so excited because his emotion of being scared and being excited are very close. Like you don't really, your body doesn't know the difference. Here's the thing, guys, they're very close. And so I started to say when I get anxious, because I have some anxiety issues, when I would get anxious and scared about doing something, I'd be fidgety or, oh my God, it's going to go not good. I would be like, wait a minute, this is so exciting that I'm doing this. I can't wait to take this on. So I learned to change that narrative from being scared to being excited, which helped me change my stance of how I was approaching things. And then I would have more confidence walking into it because I was coming from a completely different mindset.
That's a great one.
I love that one. It's just flipping the narrative from I'm scared, this is scary, to this is exciting, can't wait to see the results. It's just a small flip because you have that butterflies, that anxiety of being scared, and you don't have the confidence to do something. So that's one of my all-time favorites, and I use it all the time.
Yeah, it's amazing. So small, but it's so huge, right? So for me, another one that thinking about it, what has boosted confidence is to focus on what I'm actually really good at, focusing on my strengths. And first of all, identifying them. I remember somebody I knew once asked me, what are your strengths? This is way back when. And I just sat there. What are your weaknesses? And I came up with 1,000, right? So that's where it starts. So focus on your strengths, identify them.
Wait, we should roll back. And just let's put that out there as like an assignment for our listeners. Did you hear what she just said? She made a list and came up with all of her weaknesses and no strengths. So sit down and maybe look and see what happens when you do that.
Because everybody has strengths. And a lot of times, that negative self-talk. So focus on your strengths, identify them, and recognize what you're good at. Trust me, you're good at a lot of things. And sometimes because we take things for granted, we don't really realize, oh, we're good at that. And Monique and I get that all the time, especially with like tech stuff. How did you know that? And we're like, and it's
Doesn't
like
everybody know that?
I know. It's like we take it for granted. So don't take anything for granted because everybody has a skill that somebody else doesn't have, or knowledge, or is good at. A strength, right? That can really build your confidence and give you a positive self-image because there are a lot of things you're good at, and it can boost. Oh, if I can do this will be a piece of cake. So it ties again a little bit into that mind, but it's all in the mind, right? It's all that self-talk. So focus on your strengths. Trust me, you have a lot of strengths.
I love the idea of sitting down and listing them out, Sandy. I think that's a really powerful exercise for our listeners because we don't focus on our strengths. We always focus on what we're not doing right versus what we're freaking amazing at.
Right.
If you're amazing at baking cakes, like it doesn't matter if it's tied to business either. Know that it can be tied to anything in your life. Maybe you're the best baker, chef, babysitter. You can make baskets better than anyone else. Maybe you can create graphics, whatever it is. We all have something we're amazing at.
Absolutely.
And multiple things. So yeah, I love that. I love focusing on that. And that's something that I am embracing more and more because we can so easily go to those negative places. One of my favorites, and I still do it I do it all the time. So whenever I'm really nervous, again, I watched a TED Talk. We'll link it in the show notes because if you have not seen this TED Talk, you absolutely have to watch it for confidence.
That's a good one.
It's by Amy Cuddy, and it's about body language. And the minute I saw this, and this is back when I had to do a lot of prospecting and I hated making those phone calls. I was always nervous. Oh, God, this person's going to get so mad. They're bring it up. How's this going to work? And I would get really nervous and I didn't have a lot of confidence. I acted like I had a lot of confidence because there's a difference between being arrogant and being confident. Just so you know, I was arrogant. I wasn't confident. It's funny because I was watching Grey's Anatomy and I love that the brain surgeon on there, Amelia, who's a hot mess. I love her. She is a brilliant brain surgeon, but before every single one of her surgeries, she does a superwoman pose for 60 seconds.
Oh, funny. I need to go watch that show.
It's hilarious because she's just like in her pose, looking at the clock, waiting for 60 seconds. And everybody in the whole thing has to do it, the whole operating room. And I'm like, that's brilliant because you're going into brain surgery, right? That takes a high level of confidence. And one little move and the whole world's lights are out. I started doing Superwoman and it's been a game changer. And I also do the arms up one. Let's just say I'm having a really bad day and I'm in a funk. I'll go for a walk because that, of course, makes me feel good. Or I'll just stand up. I'll put on some good music and I'll put my arms up in the air because that signifies abundance and joy. And I'm telling you, sooner or later, you're like, oh, I feel better.
Shifting the energy, makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there are a bunch of different body languages. There's power hand moves you can do. There's standing poses. There's ones that you can put the feet up on the desk and just do that before you do something. I wouldn't suggest doing it during a meeting. It's a power move. And it's all these things, these little nuance that you can do with your body, which then signals to your brain, she's a freaking rock star.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
yeah, it's been a game changer. So I do it whenever I'm like, Superwoman, I'm awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Yeah. I had forgotten about that one. It's true though. It's your whole energy shifts and everything changes when you go into some kind of a power pose. So
yeah,
glad you mentioned that because I did forget about that one. To boost my confidence, I do something, and I don't want to say every day. For a while, I was doing it every day. It was a habit when I was in a different place. But now I really try to, on a regular basis, step out of my comfort zone. Do something that may not be the most comfortable for me. Learning a new skill set, being vulnerable on social media, doing an exercise I've never done. It doesn't all have to be tied to entrepreneurship, right? I actually, for a while, had this vision of this is the ultimate for me stepping out of my comfort zone is to hold a tarantula.
Yeah, you're on your own there.
I've touched a tarantula. I was actually in Zion many years ago at an event, and we went hiking in Zion, and we walked on the path, and here was this massive. And then somebody said, "Don't touch it because you could wake it up." Another thing is, I want to skydive. I don't want to skydive, but I'm going to skydive. And I promised my son because he can't wait to go skydiving. And I'm like, oh my God. And we were actually going to do it. And then COVID came. So skydiving.
My husband's actually done it. He did it with my sister-in-law, and he has begged me for years to do it. And it is one of my biggest fears is to plunge to my death. But at some point,
you're not going to. You have a parachute.
Yeah, but that could not work.
I want to go skydiving. The other thing that really stepped out of my comfort zone. So he's a glider pilot, and as soon as he got his license, I went up with him. He was young. He was 17, and I went. And I mean, once you go off tow, and then you're like. And
you're
that
on
was
your
out
own.
of my comfort zone.
There's no motors.
And I trusted Connor. And another thing that I've been playing with the idea, and I've wanted to do this for many years. For many years, I've wanted to learn Aikido. And I'm just now getting to the point to look and see what's in the area.
Is that a martial art?
It is.
Okay.
It is. So it doesn't matter if it's whatever it is, stepping outside of my comfort zone and realizing, oh, you did touch that tarantula. You did skydive. That boosts confidence tremendously for me.
Actually, I can say the same thing. Where I see the correlation to that for myself is I was definitely afraid to go into the ocean. And 12 years ago, we were in Jamaica with my husband, and he is like extreme sports. He wants to squirrel suit. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, Connor too.
Yeah, whatever.
Base jump and all that.
No thanks. There's some limitations
Bungee
for myself.
Jump.
Yeah. So anyway, we're in Jamaica, and he wants to go scuba diving, and I'm like, what? I'm like, I'd never gone in the ocean above my knees, and it was crystal clear, so that helped. But we took a scuba course. I was the last person off the boat. I was shaking. I was so scared. Now, mind you, we're going down like 35 feet, and I'm thinking like, this is forever. And then I did it, and I was the last person on the boat because I absolutely loved it. So it's interesting because what you think is so scary, once you do it, it may not be, and you may love it, but it's that story we tell ourselves. And it did help me build confidence to do other things then. Like I became a little bit more adventurous, and I started to want to do things that now I'm like Miss Outdoorsy because of that experience. It gave me the confidence to try new things that I normally wouldn't have done. And so I think there is something really big to that, Sandy. I think there's a girl, the 100 Fear girl.
Amy Poehler. Amy Poehler.
That's her name.
Yep.
Yeah, if you haven't looked her up,
she's great.
Great. And she went after all these fears and built confidence. And I think that's just brilliant. Brilliant.
So I always say, don't believe everything you think. I even tell myself that stop with your story. So confidence, again, for me, there's always something else. Just trying to always work on bettering myself. And it also leads to success. And I don't mean financial success. I don't mean like entrepreneurial success, but success is how I show up, how I am. And that's super important to me. Hope these tips helped a little bit.
Yeah. These are some good hacks that you can apply right now today. You do not need to have anything special. You don't need to do anything but just stand up, put your hands on your hips, do something that you're good at.
Change your story.
Change your story. Tell yourself something you're good at. These are very simple things that you can do right now. And sometimes you have to do more than one in a row, and that's okay. If you have to tell yourself something and then stand up and do Superwoman, who cares? Just do whatever makes you feel good and boosts you to feeling like you can take on the world, and then just go into action. We hope you enjoyed this week. As always, hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, leave us a comment. We really love helping entrepreneurs, and we really love doing this podcast, and we'd love to hear your feedback on how this is providing you value,
or any suggestions that you have for things that you'd like to hear about.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.